konnichiwa, jamu desu, and welcome to Hikari Online Class. For today's lesson ay pag-aaralan natin ang Lesson 11 ng ating grammar discussion. Are you ready? Dewa hajimemashou. Okay, for first lesson here this is about saying numbers. So these hitotsu, futatsu, until to are words used to count things up to 10. But 11 and higher are counted by using the numbers themselves. Okay, just look at the illustration here. For example, hitotsu means one. Okay, one thing. Futatsu means two. Mitsu means three. Yotsu means four. Itsutsu means five. Mutsu means six. Nanatsu means seven. Yatsu means eight. Kokonotsu, 9, and to means 10. And the interrogative for this is how many ikutsu. Okay, for example, how many bags do you have? Bag wa ikutsu arimasu ka? Okay, so that is how you're gonna use these interrogative. So again, let's read from 1 to 10. Hitotsu, futatsu, mitsu, yotsu, itsutsu, motsu, nanatsu, yatsu, kokonotsu, and to. And for the interrogative, how many? It is ikutsu. Okay? So, counting suffixes. So, when counting some sorts of things or expressing the quantity of things, counter suffixes are attached after the numbers. Okay? So, in Japanese, pag nagbibilang sila, may iba-iba silang suffix na nilalagay after the number to easily express that you are counting this kind of things or to easily express or identify what you are counting for. Okay? For example, when Japanese are counting number of people, except for 1 and 2, they add nin. Okay? So they add nin at the last part, and this is suffix nin. For example, this is how, okay, so when Japanese are counting number of people, well, except for 1 and 2, they use nin as a suffix. For example, one person is hitori. Two people is futari. Three people is sannin. Four people is yonin. Five people, gonin. Six people, rokonin. Seven people is nananin or sichinin. 8 people, hachinin. 9 people, kyunin. And 10 people is junin. And for the interrogative for how many people is nanin. Okay? Again, let's read it from 1 to 10. Hitori, futari, sannin, yonin, gonin, rokonin, nananin, shichinin, hachinin, kyunin, junin. Okay, remember that 1, 2, and 4 is special here. Remember, 1 is hitori, 2 is futari, and 4 people is yonin. Okay? And for the interrogative, nanin. For example, how many people are there? Hito wa nanin desu ka? Okay? So that is how you're gonna use this interrogative. Okay? So remember again, the special in person or in counting people is 1, 2, and 4. Okay? Next, another suffix. So, When Japanese are counting number of machines or vehicles like cars and bicycles, they use the suffix dai. Okay? Again, when Japanese are counting numbers of machines or vehicles like cars and bicycles, they use the suffix dai. Dai. Okay? For example, let's start from 1. Ichi dai, ni dai, san dai, yon dai, go dai, roku dai, nana dai, hachi dai, kyu dai, ju dai. And for the suffix for that, you just add nan, means nan dai. Okay? So this is the meaning for that. How many machines? So you say 1 to 10. Ichi dai, ni dai, san dai, yon dai, go dai, roku dai, nana dai, hachi dai, kyu dai, and ju dai. Okay? So it's just a normal number. You just add the suffix dai for machines or for vehicles. Okay? Next, another suffix is for the number of thin or flat things such as paper, dishes, shirts, CDs, or etc. So anything that is flat surface. Okay? So they use the suffix mai. Okay? So when Japanese people are counting numbers of things or flat things, they use the suffix mai. Like this. So let's start from use plates. Okay, 1 to 10. Ichi mai, ni mai, san mai, yon mai, go mai, roku mai, nana mai, hachi mai, kyu mai, and ju mai. And for asking or for the interrogative, this is you just add nan and you add mai. For that, how many plates or how many that flat things is, this is nan mai. Okay? So let's read it again from 1 to 10. Ichi mai, ni mai, san mai, yon mai, go mai, roku mai, nana mai, hachi mai, kyu mai, ju mai, and the interrogative nan mai. Okay? So just the normal number, you just then add the suffix mai for flat things or flat surfaces. Okay? Next is the frequency or times. How many times do it? Once, twice. Okay, in English it's once, twice. So the suffix for that is kai. Okay, kai means times. For example, 1 time, 2 times, or twice, once, just like that. You can say ikkai, nikai, sankai, yonkai, gokai, rokkai, nanakai, hakkai, kyukai, jukai. Okay, jukai or jikai. And for the counters for that is how many times is nankai? Okay, again, let's read it. Ikkai, nikai, sankai, yonkai, gokai, rokkai, nanakai, hakkai, kyukai, jukai, jikai. And for the interrogatives is nankai. Okay, remember there are 4 special in times. This is 1 or once, ikkai. 6 is rokkai. 8 times is hakkai. And for the 10 times is jukai or jikai. Okay? Next is the Okay, next is the minute or the suffix for minutes. Okay, if we say 1 minute to 10 minutes is 1분, 2분, 3분, 0분, 5분, 6분, 7분, or 7분, 8분, 9분, 10분, or 10분. Okay? Again, let's read it. 1분, 2분, 3분, 0분, 5분, 6분, 7분, or 7분, 8분, 9분, 10분, or 10분. And for asking how many minutes is 9분. Okay? So remember we have 4 special here. 1 minute is 1분. 6 minutes, 6분. 8 minutes, 8분. And 10 minutes is 10분 or 10분. Okay? Next interrogative is hours. Okay, we must say 1 hour to 10 hours is jikan. Okay, we add the suffix jikan. Let's start from number 1. 1 jikan, 2 jikan, 3 jikan, 4 jikan, 5 jikan, 6 jikan, 7 jikan or 7 jikan, 8 jikan, 9 jikan, 10 jikan, 9 jikan, 10 jikan. And for the interrogative, how many hours? 9 jikan. Okay? Again, let's read from 1 to 10 hours. 1 jikan, 2 jikan, 3 jikan, 4 jikan, 5 jikan, 6 jikan, 7 jikan or 7 jikan, 8 jikan, 9 jikan, 10 jikan, or 9 jikan for how many hours? Remember, there are 2 special here, the 4 and 9 hours. 4 hours is 8 jikan, and 9 hours is 9 jikan. Okay? For the interrogatives is nan jikan, means how many hours. For example, how many hours did you study last night? Okay? 昨日の夜は何時間に勉強しましたか? So that is how you use the interrogative for this. Okay? Next is the days. Okay, days is very special too. There's a lot of things to remember here, so very careful. Let's start from 1 day. This is 1日. 2 days is 2日. Okay? 3 3日. 4 4日. 5 5日. 6 days 6日. 7 days 7日. 8 days 8日. 9 days 9日. And 10 days is 10日. Okay, again, let's read from 1 to 10 days. 1日, 2日, 3日, 4日, 5日, 6日, 7日, 8日, 9日, 10日. Okay, and for the interrogative, or how many days, is 何日. 何日. For example, you are gonna say, how many days is your vacation? Okay, how many days is your vacation? 休みは何日ですか? お休みは何日ですか? Okay, and you can answer how many days for this. Okay? Next is weeks. Okay, for the suffix for weeks is shukan. Okay? So let's count from 1 to 10 weeks. This is 1週間, 2週間, 3週間, 4週間, 5週間, 6週間, 7週間 or 7週間, 8週間, 9週間, 10週間 or 10週間, and for the interrogative how many weeks is 何週間. Okay? Again, let's read it from 1 to 10 weeks. 1週間, 2週間, 3週間, 4週間, 5週間, 6週間, 7週間 or 7週間, 8週間, 9週間, 10週間 or 10週間, 9週間. Okay, so remember there are 3 special here. The 1, 8, and 10 weeks. Okay? 1 week is 1週間. 8 weeks, 8週間. And 10 weeks could be 10週間or 10週間. Okay, and remember you just need to add 9 plus the suffix 週間 to make the interrogative how many weeks. Okay? Next is for the months. Okay, months. Months interrogatives or months suffix is kagetsu. Okay, again, kagetsu. Let's start from 1 month. 1ヶ月. 2, 2ヶ月. 3 months. 3ヶ月. 4 months. 4ヶ月. 5 months. 5ヶ月. 6 months. 6ヶ月 or 半年. Okay, again, 6ヶ月 or 半年. 7 months is 7ヶ月 or 7ヶ月. 8 months, 8ヶ月 or 8ヶ月. 9 months is 9ヶ月. 10 months is 10ヶ月 or 10ヶ月. Okay, again, let's read from 1 to 10 months. 1ヶ月, 2ヶ月, 3ヶ月, 4ヶ月, 5ヶ月, 6ヶ月 or 半年. 7ヶ月 or 7ヶ月. 8ヶ月 or 8ヶ月. 9ヶ月, 10ヶ月 or 10ヶ月. And for the interrogative how many months, you just add 9 plus kagetsu. That makes 9ヶ月. Okay? So remember we have 4 special here in months. The first is 1 month, 1ヶ月. Next is 6 months is 6ヶ月 or 半年. Hantoshi of a year. Han means half, toshi means year. Okay? Next, special is 8 months. You can use hachikagetsu or hakkagetsu. And last is the 10 months, which is jukagetsu or jikagetsu. Okay, so be very careful about the special here. Next up is the counter suffix for years. Okay? This is nen. When we say 1 to 10 years, it is 1, 1nen. 2, 2nen. 3, 3nen. 4, 4nen. 5, 5nen. 6 years, 6nen. 7 years, 7nen or 7nen. 8 years, 8nen. 9 years, 9nen. 10 years, 10nen. Okay, again, let's read it from 1 to 10 years. 1nen, 2nen, 3nen, yonen, gonen, rokunen, nananen, or shichinen, hachinen, kyunen, junen. Okay, and for the interrogative, you just need to add nan plus nen to make how many years? That would be nan-nen. Okay? So, there's no special here, so you just say from 1 to 10 and you just add the suffix nen for years. Okay? So, the usage of these quantifiers, numbers with a counter suffix are usually put before the verbs they modify. Okay, so nilalagay siya before sa mga years. Nilalagay siya before sa mga verbs na ginagamit natin kung kailan natin ginawa, kung ilan yung bagay na yon, or kung ilang taon, or just like that. However, this is not always the case with the length of time. But hindi siya always ganon. For example, niku ga hiniki imasu. Okay, this means that there are 2 cats inside the box. Okay, again, niku ga Okay, for example, neko ga Nihiki imasu. There are 2 kites inside the box. Okay? Okay? For example, you will gonna say, there are 2 kites. For example, you will gonna say, there are 2 cats inside the box. Haku no naka ni neko ga Nihiki imasu. Okay? Haku no naka ni neko ga nihiki imasu. Okay? So for the small animals, hiki is our suffix for that. Okay? Next is another example. Here it is. How many siblings do you have? Okay, how many siblings do you have? So siblings are persons who use the counter suffix nin. Kyodai ga nanin imasu ka? Kyodai ga nanin imasu ka? I have 4 siblings. Kyodai ga 4 imasu. Kyodai ga 4 imasu. Okay? So, ganyan mo lang gamitin si counter suffix natin. Okay? So, nanin. And then you just answer 4, so that would be yonin. Okay? So here are some examples. You will gonna say, I bought 4 apples. Ringo wo 4つ買いました. So since this is things, apples, so you use 4つ. Okay? Again, ringo wo 4つ買いました. Next example is that there are 2 foreigner students. So, students are persons, so you just use the counter nin for that. That means, 外国人の学生が2人います。外国人の学生が2人います。Okay, remember that 2 in counter suffix in person is futari. It's special. Okay, next is, I studied Japanese for 2 months in my country. I studied Japanese for 2 months in my country. 国で2ヶ月日本語を勉強しました。国で2ヶ月日本語を勉強しました。Okay, 2 months is 2ヶ月. Okay, and last, I have 4 cars. I have 4 cars. So this is cars. For the counter suffix, this is dai. Okay, so you will gonna say, 私は車が4台あります. Again, 私は車が4台あります. Okay, so that is how you're gonna use the counter suffix in each specific things or person that you use for it. Okay? So it's very important that you memorize these counter suffixes because there's a lot of special, and mostly this is used in counting specific things, animals, or a person. Okay? Next is the interrogatives how many or ikutsu. So used to ask how many things which are counted as hitotsu, futatsu, and etc. Okay, so how many is the general term, or ikutsu is the general term for how many. Here's our example. How many orange did you buy? Mika no ikutsu kaimashita ka? And you will gonna answer yatsu kaimashita. Okay? So that means that the interrogative here is ikutsu, and you answer also in that tsu suffixes, so that would mean yatsu. That is how you use the interrogative ikutsu, which is the general form for how many. Okay? On the other hand, interrogative nan are used with the counter suffix to ask how many. But using these interrogatives is because they have a specific counter suffix for that. For example, you will gonna ask, how many hours do you study Japanese every night? Again, how many hours do you study Japanese every night? That would be, Maibang nanjikan Nihongo o benkyou shimasu ka? Every night is maibang, okay? How many hours is nanjikan? So that would be, Maibang nanjikan Nihongo o benkyou shimasu ka? And he answered, I study for 2 hours. 2時間勉強します。2時間勉強します。Okay? 2 hours is 2時間. Okay? Remember, the interrogative here is 何時間. And you will specifically answer for how many hours you studied it. Okay? Next example is, how many foreigners do you have in this company? How many foreigners do you have in this company? この会社に外国人が何人いますか? Again, この会社に外国人が何人いますか? And he answered, there are 5. 5人います. 5人います. Okay, remember he also asked the person, which is the counter suffix nin. Nan nin, and he answered 5人います. Okay? Next example is, this girl will ask, 昨日本の何冊買いましたか? How many books did you buy yesterday? I bought 8. 8冊買いました. 8冊買いました. Okay, remember, 何冊 is the interrogative and 8つ is the answer for that. Okay, that's how you use the counter suffix with the interrogative non plus counter suffix. So you will also answer with the specific suffix or counter suffixes that they use for that. Okay? Another interrogative is donogorai. Okay, donogorai means how long. This is used to ask the length of time something takes. You can use various units of time in the answer. So there are many units of time that you can use to answer this question. For example, how long have you studied Japanese? どのぐらい日本語を勉強しましたか? どのぐらい日本語を勉強しましたか? And she answered, I studied for 3 years. 3年勉強しました. 3年勉強しました. Okay? So that is how you're gonna answer that one. This is the how long means dono korai. And you answered 3年 for 3 years. Okay, another one is, How long will it take from Osaka to Tokyo? How long will it take from Osaka to Tokyo? Osaka kara Tokyo made dono kurai kakarimasu ka? Takes is kakarimasu. So that means kakarimasu. Okay, dono kurai kakarimasu ka? Here's another example. How long will it take from Osaka to Tokyo? So remember, takes is kakarimasu. So that makes the sentence as Osaka kara Tokyo made dono kurai kakarimasu ka? Again, Osaka kara Tokyo made dono kurai kakarimasu ka? And he answered, it takes 2 hours by bullet train. That would be Shinkansen de 2 jikan kakarimasu. Again, Shinkansen de 2 jikan kakarimasu. Okay? So that is how you're gonna use it. Remember, the question how long is dono kurai, and you just add the length of time, which is 2 hours, 2 jikan. Okay? So another one is gurai. Gurai is added after quantifiers to means about. Since that if you're really not sure if it exact 2 hours or if it exact that time, so you use about. Okay? So in Japanese, about is gurai. For example, here in our question here, how long have you studied Japanese? Dono gurai nihongo benkyou shimashita ka? And you answered, I studied for about 3 years. So you just can add that as 3年ぐらい勉強しました. Again, 3年ぐらい勉強しました. Okay, so you will just gonna add it after the length of time or before the verb that you are going to use. Okay? Another one is, how long will it take from Osaka to Tokyo? Osaka kara Tokyo made dono gurai kakarimasu ka? It takes about 2 hours by bullet train. You can just say, Shinkansen de 2 jikan gurai kakarimasu. Again, Shinkansen de 2 jikan gurai kakarimasu. Okay, so you are not too sure about if 2 hours. Okay, next here is the quantifier period ni nani kai verb. So, with this expression, you can say how often you do something. So, ginagamit ang sentence pattern na to express kung gaano mo kadalas ginagawa ang isang verb or ang isang action. For example, I watch movie 2 times or twice a month. Okay? So, that would be ikagetsu ni, that is period of time, ikagetsu ni 2回 ega o mimasu. Again, 1ヶ月に2回 ega o mimasu. Okay? Next, another one. I eat meals 3 times or thrice a day. Kumakain ako 3 beses isang araw. So that would be, period of time here is a day. So, 1日に 3回ご飯を食べます. Again, 1日に3回ご飯を食べます. Okay. So another example here is, I go to Davao 5 times every 3 weeks with my family. So that would be, 3週間に5回家族とダバオへ行きます. Again, 3週間に5回家族とダバオへ行きます. Okay? Next, and the last one, I go to America 3 times or thrice a year. 1年3回アメリカへ行きます. 1年3回アメリカへ行きます. Okay, so that is how you use the quantifier, period ni, nani, kai, and then verb. Okay, kung gaano mo kadalas ginagawa ang isang bagay. So you use the counter suffix kai and then the period of time before it. Okay? So here's another example for that. How many times do you take a shower in a day? 1日に何回シャワーを浴びますか? And he said, I take shower twice a day. 1日に2回シャワーを浴びます. Okay, so as you can see, he answered, or he asked, 何回? And he answered, 2 回. Okay, so that is clearly how to say or to express kung gaano mo kadalas ginagawa ang isang action. Okay? Okay, so last of our topic here is dake or noun dake. So dake simply means as only. It is added after the quantifiers or noun to express that there is no more or nothing there or no one else. Okay? So for example here, you will say, I only have one secret. So in Japanese, that would be himitsu ga hitotsu dake arimasu. Again, himitsu ga hitotsu dake arimasu. Okay? Himitsu is secret, hitotsu is one, and arimasu is have. Himitsu ga hitotsu dake arimasu. Okay? Another example for that is when you think, I am the only foreigner in this company. Okay? Only is dake, foreigner is gaikokujin, and company is kaisha. So you will gonna say, この会社には僕だけが外国人です。Okay? この会社には僕だけが外国人です。Okay? Again, この会社には僕だけが外国人です。Okay? So that is how you use the quantifier dake or only. Okay? You can use with noun or you can use that as only. Okay? So that's the end for our lesson 11. And I hope you learned all the grammar discussion and all the quantifiers that we discussed this lesson, because counter suffix is very important in Japanese because you were really specific when you are counting different things in Japanese. So I hope you memorize it and keep practicing and memorizing, especially the special parts of the counter suffixes that we have. Okay? Keep practicing and gambatte kudasai. See you again next time, minasan. Goodbye.